morning, industry. Oh, boy. Good morning. All right. I am super excited to be here. It's been a long time I have seen this many product people in one space. And it is always my favorite place to be around a community of product people. My name is Idiodi. I am one of the partners at the Silicon Valley Product Group. What we do is we spend a lot of our time understanding how the most innovative companies in the world build products, trying to understand the techniques they use to decide what to do, how they consistently create value. And I spend a chunk of my time coaching and advising other teams that they can work in a similar manner or even better. Now, that's my spiel for what I do. And it is still super duper confusing. And throughout my career as a product manager, as a product leader, I have never been able to convince my kids of what I do. And the way I know this is because they have never invited me to speak at their career days at school. Now, I remember very early on, they will often ask this question and I will say, what do you do? And I will say, well, I am in product. And then they'll ask the obvious next question, which is, well, what do you do in product? And at this stage of their life, there's something called the internet. And so I tell them, go Google it, And then I hear my son scream from the back and say, Dad, all I see is circles. I said, what do you mean? Circles, everywhere. When I search for product, I see circles, lots of circles. And do I go to school and tell my friends that all my dad does is hang out in the middle of circles? Now, I tried to figure out, I said, okay, maybe the internet is not a good source. And send me a picture of what they say a product manager does. And they sent me something that looks like this. Everybody's confused. So I said, okay, I have to find a way to explain to them what I do in product. And my very first early definition was, well, I create value for companies by creating value for their customers. And then my daughter looks at me and says, what does value mean? I said, boy. And I said, well, ask Alexa or Siri. At the core of what value means is solving a problem. And I say, well, in product, we create value by solving problems for others in a meaningful way. That's what it is, solving problems. And this didn't still resonate with them as they continued to get older. And I said, okay, well, I need to find a more elaborate way to describe what we do over time in product. And so I rephrased my definition a little more. And I said, well, truly what I do every day is I work collaboratively. My daughter said, big word, Dad. I said, oh. With a bunch of talented people to discover solutions. Well, another big word. What does that mean? I said, well, I'm discovering solutions on behalf of customers in a way that works for my business, in a way that works for the company that I'm in. Now, my kids looked at me and said, how do you do this? How do you discover solutions on behalf of people in a way that works for your business? And my first response is, well, if you have a deep understanding of the people you are trying to solve a problem for, we call them customers, and you have a deep understanding of the data, the insights that can inform those decisions, as well as a deep understanding of the business you're in and the industry you're in, maybe you can make better decisions as to what will actually create delight for them and will also work for your business. Now, I have found that no matter how many talks I give or try to describe what I do, the best way for me to reach out to my kids is through stories. Real experiences that we have every day that brings to them what the essence of product truly is. And so I kind of changed my mindset about my talk today, and I said, well, why don't I just tell stories? Stories of my everyday experience that really captured for me what really inside the essence of product is. You know, I started by saying, well, when was the last time I was really a customer? Well, I'm a customer all the time. But when was the last time I recognized that I was a customer? Well, a couple of months ago, I was in the UK, and I decided to do something I have never done in my life, which is I wanted to run. Yes, you know, like run outside. If you can't tell, I was raised in Africa, and I am one of those people that believes there's really no biological reason for running. You know, I mean, yeah. I'm glad there are people with me who runs 3 miles on a treadmill and doesn't go anywhere. Why do we go 26.1 miles? There is no animal on the planet that will chase you for that long. So I am just focused, like, I will sprint, I will get to where I want to go, and that's it. But, you know, I love the weather in the UK. It always looks like it's going to rain. And so I'm like, you know, I can probably run outside. My family has people that love to run. So I asked my brother who lives out there, I was like, where do I go get running shoes? Because I hear you've got to have running shoes if you want to run. And, you know, this whole family recommended this boutique running store out in Southampton, UK. And they said, oh, you've got to go there. They sell great running shoes, and they have a great product. I said, sure, I will go visit this running store. So I walk into the running store, and the customer service rep meets me right at the door and says, yes, sir, can we help you? I said, well, I'm here to buy some running shoes. He says, oh, well, hold on a minute. I am going to bring one of our running specialists to help you. I said, running specialist? Oh, fancy word. You know, so I wait by. A gentleman walks up to me a few minutes later. He says, hi, my name is Joe. I would love to help you today. How can I assist you? I said, well, I'm here to buy some running shoes. He says, oh, are you a runner? I said, no, I am not a runner. Do you know what shoes you would like? I said, if I am not a runner, then I definitely don't know what running shoes I would like. He says, well, sir, I can give you some guidance, and you can go around and shop for shoes yourself. But if you can afford me 5 minutes of your time, I think I may be able to help you make a better selection. I said, okay, this is interesting, sure. And Joe says to me, okay, so tell me why you want to run. I said, oh, this is an interview? It's like, where would you like to run? I said, okay, let's talk about it. He said, all right, can you come over with me right here? Stand on this machine. Take off your shoes. I said, this is interesting. I stand on the machine measures my foot, shows something on a little screen. He says, okay. He says, sir, I'm going to ask you to do something very weird. Can you take a little jog around the store in your shoes? I'm like, right now? In the store? He says, yes, it's a running store. You can run. I said, oh. So I take a little jog and I come back. He says, how did that feel in your current shoes? I said, it felt like it normally feels in any shoes, you know? He said, all right. He printed out these insoles that he had looked from my measurement. He gave them to me to put in my current shoes. And he said, all right, go ahead and run again. I said, okay. I ran again around the hall. When I came back, he said, how did that feel? I said, wow, that kind of felt good. I was cutting the corner, and I felt light on my feet. This is very interesting. He says, wow. Well, it's like the more I know about you, the better your experience. I said, this is interesting. I said, now what? He says, well, I'm not going to ask you about your price point, but I would love to show you a couple of shoes. He said, please take a seat. You know? I said, all right. I sat right. Got to like 5 minutes. I was getting a little antsy. I was like, okay, this is a waste of my time. Where is he? I go to the back. He said, please, sir, come over here. He had lined up a whole bunch of shoes. He had little cards behind every shoe. And he said, I'm not going to show you the price of the shoe. I'm not even going to tell you some things about the shoe. But I want to know what you like by just looking at the shoes. And we talked about that. Then he said, well, they all vary in price. They all vary by how you may run, where you might want to run. But I want this to be your choice. I said, what do you think I should say? Well, then it will not be your choice. I said, okay. So I picked a shoe. He turned the note card, and the note card read, my recommended choice for Christian. I said, wow. He said, look at that. We both picked the same thing. And he said, by the way, I know I took a little more than 5 minutes today. So I spoke to my manager, and I would love to afford you my employee discount of 20% on whatever you choose today. I said, this is great. I will take that shoe. And he said, by the way, there could be more. Why have one running shoe when you can have two? I said, are you a salesperson or a running specialist? You know? And he said, well, you have a 20% discount. And I said, well, put two in the bag. So I go to the checkout place and I turn around and I say, Joe, you know, how did you get so good at doing all of this stuff and helping people with running shoes? And Joe says to me, oh, I am not a running specialist. I actually work in IT. I say, you work in what? IT? He said, well, you know, during COVID, I have been trapped at home, and we are just finally getting back into the office, and nobody works in the office. And I go there by myself, and I'm super bored, and so I decided to do something in the store. So I volunteer a couple of times in a week, but it's very weird for me to be the IT guy in the store. So the manager came up with this name, running specialist. And I said, wow. I said, so Joe, how did you know how to do all of the things you did? He said, well, we've been working on the website for a very long time and our app. I just looked at everything we do in the app and I just tried to do it in the store. I said, this is interesting. He said, yes, we have a price comparison tool. We have a fill in your description to make a recommendation. We offer you discounts on the app, so I offered you discounts in the store. I said, Joe, you're not an IT guy. You're a product manager. And Joe said, I don't know what that is. And I said, neither do I. But you captured the essence of product. And I gave Joe my information. I have kept in touch with him. And I've ensured that I could move him from a career in IT to product management because he had the mindset. Now, you all may have seen this recently, probably on your social media, on LinkedIn or something. There was someone who received a McDonald's order of Big Mac and fries. And inside the order, it had a note. The note read, hello, we've seen that you placed this order from a hospital. We are hoping you're well. The order is on us. Your McDonald's Dubai team. When I first saw this article with this note, it's hit me a little differently because, I mean, you see gestures from many companies trying to improve the experiences people had, but it called out one part of the essence of product that I think very many people fail to miss. The value of data. But here's what I loved about it. First, there was an acknowledgement that data was used. We've seen that you placed the order from a hospital. That transparency builds trust with the use of data. We collect data all the time. But it was an admission that we are using that data. Second, it was the use of fresh data. They didn't collect the data weeks ago, months ago, and say, well, we are in the hospital. We hope you're still alive. Here's a free order on us. In real time, they could translate the knowledge and the insights from data. You placed an order from a hospital, and in turn, we are going to use that knowledge and insight to improve an outcome and experience you have. But most importantly, they personalized it. Many companies that collect data and use data, it becomes a number on a card, an aggregate in some ways. But they are saying, we have seen you, we have heard you, and we are going to translate our knowledge and our insights from you into a better and meaningful experience. And so now I take my kids to McDonald's and I hope to find a note in it. But this is the mindset around data. Now, many people will argue with me, well, Christian, we have constraints in our company. We don't have an environment in which we can go about working in this manner where we can focus on outcomes or customers or experiences. You know, I do a lot of work in North America, in Europe, sometimes in APAC. So I volunteer a lot of my time actually in Africa, advising tech startups, nonprofits, and actually building a lot of products in that market myself. So I always carve out times to visit Africa a couple of times a year. A couple of months ago, I was traveling back from a small regional airport in Africa. And as I'm going through security, you know those little body scanning machines? They had balloons all over the machine. I'm like, okay, this is different and interesting. As I walked through the machine, the security officer pops confetti and claps for me. I say, whoa, did I win a prize? What's going on here? This is very different. I kind of take a step back. Every single person that walks through that machine, they pop confetti and they clap for the person. So as I kind of go to get my bags, I look at the nearest security officer. I say, sir, what's going on here? Is this a special occasion? Is this an event or something? And he says to me, he says, sir, we have a mandate to make travel safe, to make the airport safe for travelers. But over time, as we watch people going through this body scanning machine, we see a lot of people nervous, uncomfortable. Some people run through the machine. Some people form like a stick to go through it. We have to encourage kids to move across, trying to bribe them with candy to come across the machine. And he said something that struck me. He said, putting balloons on the outside of the machine doesn't make it less effective in scanning the body, but it does make people feel more comfortable. I said, wow, who told you to do this? Like, did your manager mandate for you all to do this or think about it? He said, no, we get all the security reports, all the briefings. We are called to keep people safe. We want to ensure that people are safe, but we have no instruction to make people uncomfortable. And so the team took it upon themselves to look for ways to improve the experience. Now, this story always struck me because I work with very many large enterprise companies around the world, big SaaS companies who tell me, we are in compliance, so we cannot have a great experience. We are in security. Who told you you cannot be compliant and have a great experience? You cannot be secure and have a cool product. You cannot be regulated and have a sexy and amazing experience for people. You have permission to think about new ways to solve old problems, new problems to solve, new markets, new customers, new avenues. This is the core essence of what it means to be in product. That every day we look to improve the experiences of others that we serve. Now, one of the things we often say in product is we talk a lot about this concept of discovery and the mindset of trying to uncover solutions or discover solutions to the problems our customers have. Several years ago, I had an operational job in a company that had a huge presence and a big office in New York City. And so I will often have to visit New York every single month for work. And one of my fascinations with New York, right from my early childhood, had been the food truck scenes. I love the idea of food trucks. And every morning as I'm walking to the office, and every evening as I'm walking back from the office, I will always try to discover a new food truck. Like, who has a cool menu, what's on the hidden menu, what kinds of foods do they offer. So it was a big pastime. It was my thrill in going to New York for work. I'm like, what cool new food truck could I discover? Now, over time, I immediately found a favorite food truck. It was run by an elderly gentleman from Pakistan who everybody called Baba. And Baba served the most amazing breakfast burritos, the most amazing smoothies, and he had this special salmon fried rice with amazing super duper secret spicy sauce on it. I know I'm making you all hungry. I'm now hungry myself again. But it was just really a big thrill. I'm walking to work in the morning, I'll get a smoothie from Baba's food truck. When I'm coming back in the evening, I might pick up this salmon fried rice from Baba's food truck. So I'm back this month visiting the food truck, and there's a young gentleman walking in the kitchen in the food truck, kind of making the food. And so I kind of ordered the food, and this gentleman looks at me, and as I'm turning around to leave, he jumps out of the food truck and he runs around. And he says, hey, sir, hey, you like your food? It's like, I love my food. It's like, I made the food. It's good, right? I'm like, it's great. It's like, but by the way, do you need anything else? I sell shoes. I sell handbags. I sell wristwatches. I say, I like the hustle. I was like, you're selling all of this from the food truck? He's like, yeah, this is New York City, bro. I got to make some ends meet. I said, okay, all right. I said, well, what do you really want to do? He says, man, I would love to own my own food truck one day. I said, oh. I said, well, what's stopping you from owning a food truck? He's like, man, it is so expensive, man. Everybody, all the money you have to go through, man, I don't even know where to start. This is crazy. I said, well, what's your name? He said, my name is Alex. I said, well, Alex, you're not ready. He says, oh, okay. I said, all right. The next month, I come back, and Alex is there again making the food in here. And, he says, hey, Mr. Christian, nice to see you again. Yeah, he said, I got something special for you. I'm going to add my super secret seasoning to the salmon fried rice. I think you're going to love it. I said, oh, sure, try it out. He gives me the plate. I take a bite. I'm like, man, you have mad skills, Alex. He's like, yeah, that's what I'm telling you, man. I should have my own food truck. I said, well, why are you not going to get your own food truck? He said, well, it's so expensive. I said, how much you need for a food truck? He said, I need like $100,000. I said, for a food truck? What are you going to do with it? Man, I got to get things together, get all the stuff I need for it. I said, man, Alex, you're not ready. He says, man, okay, get out of here with this stuff. So, okay. The next month, I'm back there again. Alex sees me from a distance. He even runs out of the food truck and comes to me. He's like, hey, Mr. Christian, how are you? I was talking to my girlfriend, and she told me you're probably one of those guys that want a business plan. That's why you keep telling me I'm not ready. So she wrote a business plan. I got a business plan, man. You want to see my business plan? I said, well, what do you need? What's in the business plan? Well, I'm going to tell you all the things I need for my food truck, man, so that you can know I'm serious about it. I got to buy all the things for the stuff, get the food together, and I can make some money out here. I said, man, Alex, you're not ready. Alex gives me this look like, I'm not even going to talk to you again. He's like giving me the stinky eye. He kind of walks away. Now, it's a couple of months before I have to visit New York. And so I go back to the food truck like I normally do. Baba is there again. He's making food. I kind of peep around. I don't see Alex. I say, Baba, where's Alex? Baba says, oh, Alex only works 2 days a week now. He's super busy, so he only comes in on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I said, oh, well, I'm here the rest of the week. Maybe I'll catch him when I stop by again. And so the following day, I decide to stop by, and, there is Alex standing right there at the food truck. He sees me, he's got his head up, he's making food. I say, Alex, how are you? Man, I see life must be good for you. You only work 2 days a week. He's like, no, Mr. Christian, I spend my time working in a restaurant, during the other days. Did you know in New York City, Mr. Christian, you've got to take an 8-hour class on food safety and handling? You have to get a food permit and a business license. I got to take the food truck to the commissary to wash it at the end of the stuff. I've been trying to understand all the things it's going to take to run a food truck business. I said, oh. I said, you still want to run a food truck business? He's like, yes, Mr. Christian, it's my dream. It's my goal. I said, well, how much is it going to cost to get this all done? He said, I need $67,800. I said, for what? He said, well, I got to pay the $200 business license fee. I got to get the food handling permit there. I've spoken with Jewel. He owns some trucks over there. He has an old one. He said he could sell it to me for $16,000. So I'm saving up some money from my stuff to do it. And I'm hoping in the next couple of years, I can have enough money saved up to get this done. So I look up, I say, Baba, come over here. And Baba comes over here. I say, Baba, Alex is ready. And Baba says, oh man, thank goodness. He says, Alex, you may not know this, but Mr. Christian owns the food truck. And I've been trying to retire for the last 3 years. The food truck is yours. And Alex breaks down crying. He's like, are you serious? Are you messing with me right now? What do you mean the food truck is mine? Like, you mean the whole business is mine? I can do it? I don't believe this. I got to call my girlfriend, man. He calls his girlfriend up. They're all screaming on the phone. He said, hey, let me speak to Mr. Christian. She says, hey, Mr. Christian, you've been telling Alex he wasn't ready all of this time. What makes him ready now? And I said, well, all of this time Alex knew how to make good food. But this time around, he discovered what it means to run a food truck business. And it's a very different mindset from what we know and what we validate. If I had just given him the business, he would have been discovering what it meant to run a business. He understood the risk involved in running the business. This is the core of what we do in product. So when we think about discovery, the idea is that we are tackling the risk in the choices we will make and validating with evidence, reserving judgment, that we have tackled the risk in providing a solution to our clients that they will use. A solution that we can build, that we can create, and a solution that works for our business. In some ways, we want to be able to clearly describe what we are going to create as a result of our work. We have to understand that just because somebody can use our product does not mean that they will use it. Just because somebody can use our product does not mean that they will choose it. Just because somebody can use our product does not mean that they will buy it. This is what value means in our work. In technology, this equation has been at HP since the 80s. That product is customer times the business times technology. The argument here is that to create a product, we have to solve for the customer. We have to solve for the business. And we have to solve for technology. It's put in a multiplication format because anything multiplied by 0 is 0. You are creating value using technology through a deep understanding of your customer and your business. This is the essence of product. So value creation requires a different set of skills with a different team going about solving problems. These are the kinds of talented people you would need to just play the game. You will need people dedicated to that essence of value and viability. We call those people product managers. People dedicated to that essence of usability. We call those people designers or user experience designers or product designers. People dedicated to tackling the risk of how do we build this? Can we build it? Do we have the time, the skills, the means to create this value? And we call those people engineers. If you think clearly of every single great thing your company, your organization has done, consistently or in spouts, you'll find a couple of things to be consistently true. You'll find that those teams of people were given a problem to solve. Not a future to build, not an output to create, but a problem to solve. Unfortunately, I say this to people, you are unlikely a true product manager unless you are given a problem to solve. These people, or this group, when this happened, everybody was in the room when it happens. It was in a truly collaborative environment. All the context you needed, all the background you needed, all of the information you needed was within this environment. There was not a handoff. There was not a sequence. Your so-called business, your product teams, your design teams, your engineering teams, they were all together to define and identify the problems to solve. To discover, design, validate, and to deliver a solution to that problem. Finally, the outcome was clear. There was undeniably a focus on results. What mattered was not what we did, but why we did it. Solving the problem. This is the very essence of what product is. Now, one of the things I constantly talk about with my kids is about mindset. And I try to describe that in product, there is a part of our work that really boils down to our mindset. It is less about what companies do and more about how companies do this. And they often say, well, what's the mindset like? And I say, well, it's a winning mindset. And I struggled over years to try to capture the essence of what this looks like. And a couple of years ago, the Olympics were going on, and I was watching the Olympics and going through this, and I said, you know what? I've got it. I said, kids, I know what product is like. I said, what is it like? I said, it's like the Olympics. They said, this is getting awkward. I said, what do you mean? Does it mean that we win medals at the end of it? I said, yes, you do. Does it mean that it's super competitive? I said, yes, it is. Is it only for the best of the best? I say, yes, it is too. So, well, does it also mean that we have to practice all the time? I say, yes. Are there different games you can play? Yes. Different ways to play the game? I say, yes. Are you saying it's more like the Olympics? And then I found a video that I thought really captured the essence of what it meant. I've seen that video a lot of times, and I still struggle to watch it. That's the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. The gentleman there is a gentleman named Derek Redmond of the United Kingdom. If you think about the Olympics, they happen once every 4 years. So you can imagine he has been practicing for 4 years. He's been building for 4 years. He's been creating, preparing for his value as a product, as an athlete for 4 years. Everybody says, this is his year. He is one of the best in the 400-meter race. He might probably win it all. At worst, he's going to get a medal. 140 meters into the 400-meter race. he gets this bad hamstring injury. He's down on the ground. By the time he looks up, the race is over. I mean, these are Olympic athletes. They are super fast. In a split second, he recognizes that his commitment was more to finishing the race than where he placed in the race. And he jumps up and he starts hopping to the end of this race. The person that jumps in to help is his manager, his coach, in this case also his dad, Jim Redmond. He doesn't ask him a question. He doesn't bother to anything. He just takes his hand, puts it over his shoulder, and he starts hopping with him or taking him to the end of this race. People kind of come by and say, hey, the race is over. Shakes them away. People kind of come back. There's no reason to, you're not going to win anything. The guy is hurt. Let's go to the sideline. Shakes them away. They make their way all the way to the end of this race. If you look through it, Derek is putting his hand over his face and his father keeps pulling his hand down. That there is nothing to be ashamed of. We are going to the end of this race. It's sometimes difficult to explain to people that product is hard. To explain to people that product is challenging. To explain to people that product is competitive. To explain to people that you will get distraction, you will lose focus, that there will be times in which you're down with a hamstring injury, you will need help, you will need support, you will need a manager, a coach, a mentor to guide you and remind you about getting to it. If you are ever lost in understanding why you are running the race, let me remind you that every day at the core of what we do is to wake up and try to solve a problem on behalf of somebody else. That this is a race worth finishing. That regardless of your company, your industry, your position within your organization, you have the very honor of being in a job that has a purpose and a race that you should always endeavor to finish. That the very essence of product is your focus on that outcome, improving the lives of others in a way so meaningful that they give you a certificate of appreciation, one that may come in the terms of revenue to your company, engagement, loyalty, adoption, retention, success. But this, my friends, is the very essence of product. It has been nothing but my highest honor to share this stage with you. I believe you have a tremendous conference this week with some amazing people that will share all of the techniques, all of the things and methodologies and the mindset and culture that will help you along this journey. If there's any way I can encourage you when you're down on a hamstring injury, if there's any way I can challenge you or remind you about your race, please reach out. It has been nothing but fun. Have a wonderful conference. Thank you, industry.